Today is part 3 of the Stephania Erecta journey, and I have something extra special for all of you guys. What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. Today I'm going to be giving you an update on my Stephania Erecta, and I've got something extra special for you guys. So in my previous Stephania Erecta update, I showed you guys how I managed to get my plant to sprout. I felt that I had cracked the code and it worked really well. It was high humidity, good air circulation and warmth, and that was what helped my plant to grow. Now today I will be giving you another update a couple months later. I think it's actually 3 months later, to show you guys where we're at. Now I will say that this has been an interesting journey these last 3 months, and I'll explain exactly why that is. But without any further ado, guys, let me introduce you to the Stephania Erecta. Here we go. Have a look at this beauty. Now, you'll be asking me, Lithius, what's going on? Why is the top looking rather dry and crispy and everything else looking rather plump? And that's all part of the story. So before we get any further, if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and watch it. I'm going to link them in the cards as appropriate. And you will know that this plant was actually living in my mini greenhouse. But after a little bit of discovery and experimentation, I finally managed to get this thing to sprout. And it was living in the greenhouse happily as it started to throw out its shoot. And its shoot kept getting longer and longer and longer. And mind you, if you guys have seen my greenhouse, it is rather small. I've actually got a video showing you guys, giving you guys a tour of that house. If that's something that you want to see, I'll also make sure to link it here. But it's a very, very small greenhouse and space is very, very limited. So that's, I mean, ground space, floor space, as well as height space, there's not much. So I was starting to think, what am I going to do with this plant? So eventually I ended up taking it out of the greenhouse and moving it into my kitchen, which gets a lot of afternoon light. So it's actually a west facing window, so it gets a lot of light, and you know that Stephanias really love that bright light. So I made sure to move it there. Now I'll insert a photo here, and this was in April. So that's when I took it out of the greenhouse, when it started to hit the ceiling, and placed it in my kitchen, as I said. And you would see that the leaves were small, and as you can see, this is the sort of size I was expecting. Now that's about the size of a pound coin if you're here in the UK. I'm not sure what that the equivalent would be in your currency, but it's about 2 maybe 3 centimeters across, and it's what I've seen online and what I've seen on the internet. This is the kind of size I was expecting, but the leaves were staying quite small. And one day I decided to have a look at what was going on under the under the soil, because I was just like, nothing's happening. So eventually I took the plant out of the soil, and I realized that after the 6 months or so that I've had this plant potted up for, that it had absolutely no roots. Now, not no roots, but it had one single root, and it was really small. So I was perplexed, I was a bit confused, and I was like, what was going on? And you know, obviously it's a big Caudex, so I know it's going to have loads of energy, and it will have energy to put out leaves, and then it can focus on roots later. But I always expected that to be the other way around, and it's what I've also seen online. So I then thought to myself, this is a bit weird. So what I did is I looked in the soil. Lo and behold, I found springtails. Now, springtails for the most part are they're not harmful to your plants at all in any sense, but they do feed on organic matter, and my theory is that this these bugs were actually eating the roots. Now I could be completely wrong, but there were no roots to start off with. And I was in a place where I didn't know what to do with this plant because, you know, it had no roots. The leaves were really, really small. They weren't growing, and they were just staying absolutely tiny. There were some smaller leaves, for example, like kind of this one, if you can see it. This one right over here at the back, right here. So there were some about that size that were just not progressing at all. And I was kind of worried, to be honest with you guys. I was worried and I was thinking, what's going on with this plant? And I want to show you guys this plant, but nothing was happening. So at around this same time, I actually said I was looking to increase my Caudex collection, and I went ahead and bought this plant right here, and it is the Stephania Nova, and I've been looking for this plant all over. Managed to find one on Etsy, and it was just, you know, it came potted up, but it had absolutely no roots. It had nothing, and I was trying to get that one going as well, using the exact same technique that I used here. So bright light. Luckily we were in spring, so it could stay out of the greenhouse, but I had it in like a in a plastic container type thing, and I had it on the heat mat as well. So it had all the right things going on, and I really wanted it to sort of pick up. So what I did is I went ahead and I asked the Etsy seller that I bought it from. I said, give me some advice. So they said, you know, put it in the Regrowth and whatnot. And you know, it was the things that I was doing anyway. But as she also said, you can also put it in pon. I was like, oh, I've got loads of pon because I've been transitioning a whole bunch of plants over to it. So I said, definitely I'm going to try that out. So I decided to put that plant in pon. And at the same time, I said I'm going to also transfer this one into pon as well. And I did that. And the plant, it didn't like it. It did not transition well because I then moved it into a space that could have grow lights for 12 hours throughout the day. So light wasn't an issue. Humidity wasn't an issue. But the plant just didn't like it at all. One day, I sort of just brushed past the plant, tapped it, and a leaf fell off. And I thought, whoa, that was weird. Tapped it again, another leaf fell off. So I gave it a little bit of a shake, nothing too vigorous, and all of the leaves fell off. And it looked like this. And this was actually in May. So this happened in May. All of the leaves fell off, and I was like, this could be another 6 months of just a potato in a pot. People are going to think that I'm mad. But no, so what happened is that it actually started to dry up, and it kept drying, and I cut it. You can see where I cut it here. That was the first cut that I made, and it kept drying further, and I was like, oh no, oh no. But what happened was that the very bottom of the stem activated, and we have what we have here today. Now this was in June. Just early June, that it started to emerge, and we are only in the early parts of July, and a month later, boom, I've got proper Stephania Erecta leaves that look incredible. I would love it to be a bit longer, but hey ho, you know, you win some, you lose some. I have checked for roots, and it certainly does have some roots. I'm not going to pull it out today, guys, because last time I took a peek, I actually broke some of the roots, so I'm not trying to do that again. And then I've also got another shoot on this side as well, so hopefully I could have 2 vines going. That would be absolutely fabulous. I'll be so happy with that. And this is where we are today. So this plant continues to live in my west facing window. Originally, before the leaves started to emerge, I had a sort of plastic bottle that I cut up, and I had it over there just to retain some of that humidity, as well as having it in a water reservoir with a sort of wicking string as well, just to get that moisture up to the plant. And it loved it, and it started to grow. Eventually the leaves were sort of outgrowing the pot, so I took it out. It hasn't stopped growing. It's been doing absolutely wonderfully for me. That's the update. It's going well, it's going strong. Advice for you guys, I would say pon works. It seems to love it. I've seen other people have their Stephanias in pon as well, and it's been doing absolutely fantastic for them. I was worried that it would rot because every video was saying, you know what, everything that I read was saying, don't overwater this plant, it will rot, it will rot. And this is in a self-watering system and it's doing just fine. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, I did manage to get my hands on a Stephania Nova. And I was so happy to have it. When I had it, it had just a few roots on it already, and it was in soil, as I mentioned, guys, and I did transition it over to pon as per the directions of the Etsy seller, who was absolutely wonderful. She really did give me some brilliant pointers, and I really massively appreciated it. And it has been doing excellently for me, guys. I can't kid you. So I bought this plant in May. So end of May, I bought it, and in June I transferred it into pon, and this is what it looked like in June. And in that same month, I noticed that there was the smallest signs of a leaf or something emerging, and I will have that picture over here. Now, if you can see, it's quite hard to see because it's only maybe the size of a pinhead, but I was very observant and I noticed that, and I was like, wow, okay, cool, something's happening. And eventually, after like a week, something popped out, and not even where the original sort of first signs of growth was, but on a different part of the plant, a little leaf came out. Then that leaf pretty much doubled every couple of days, every week or so. And now that we're in July, early July, today's actually the 4th of July, we now have, boom, look, this, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my days. Guys, could I do a head test? Here we go. What's that? How would we say, a third of my head? Probably quarter. But it's huge. And the best part is, guys, it is still growing. It hasn't hardened up yet at all. It is still very soft, very fragile. This one as well is just emerging. There are some other points. That same point that I showed you guys earlier, it's still here. It's still pushing out some stuff. So potentially this could have loads and loads and loads of leaves, guys. So this is it. This was the surprise. It surprised me. I did not even expect to have it. I just sort of stumbled on it. And as I said, guys, I gave this exactly the same routine and care that I gave my Stefania. I had a bit more trouble with this one. This one was an absolute breeze. I think also potting it up in spring helps as well, if you can do that. But what I did is I gave it a heat mat, gave it high humidity, and I gave it a lot of light. And then we ended up with this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guy. Can't wait to see where we end up with this. So I will be sure to keep you guys updated on these two wonderful plants as they progress, as they grow. And if you guys want to be part of that journey, then be sure to subscribe to this channel. I post videos like this every single week, and hit that bell icon if you want to stay up to date. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Lithius, you've been wonderful, and keep planting.